Hello crafty friends, do you find no line colouring intimidating? If you do, I've got a little bit of a halfway trick that you might like to try. It's Donna here from Donna is Playing Paper. Welcome everybody, and a special welcome to all of the people that have joined us since my last video. The stamp set that I've used for these flower images is called Ladybug Garden from Pink and Maine. It has a bunch of different sentiments, about 6 different really cute ladybirds, and also these 2 wild garden images. With no line colouring, we stamp the image in a super light ink so that that image will basically disappear as we paint over it. But that gives you the added difficulty of having to add those lines and delineations back in yourself with your paint. It's a beautiful look, but it is harder to do. So what I've done today is I've stamped the image in a couple of mid-tones. The colours I've chosen are both distress inks. One is Tattered Rose, which you can see me working on here, and the other is Tumbled Glass, which I'll bring in a moment. For the first card with the Tattered Rose ink and the pink hues, I've used tube watercolours. I can't tell you exactly which colours I used because most of them were just a little bit of a mix that I found on my palette, but I can tell you that Quinacridone Coral from Daniel Smith featured quite highly. Right here you can see me filling in the easiest of all the flowers that I could find in the image, just to bridge a couple of little gaps between where I stamped them. I've left the sky on this card blank, but for the other card with the blue ink, I've just used a fan brush to lightly brush on a little bit of colour. For the second card, I've used watercolour brush markers. Some of those are from Altenew, and some of them are Zig Clean Colour brush markers. But whichever medium I've used, the process for every petal and every leaf was basically the same. First of all, I laid down a darker pigment in one corner of each petal or leaf. Then using a clean brush that was only just damp, I've stretched the colour out a little. I've then washed the brush, dried it off, and stretched the pigment a little bit further, so that towards the edge of the petals, or the edge of the leaf, the colour fades to almost nothing. I've tried to go a little bit over the lines, so that I can just soften that distress ink, so that the lines aren't quite so harsh. I've moved around the images I painted, choosing areas that didn't touch one another. And so you'll notice that I paint the alternate petals on a flower, and then move to somewhere else and let that dry before coming back. Once each flower or stem was dry, I've come back in again with some strong pigment and the very, very tip of my brush and added some fine detail. As I was colouring the blue stamped image, I sadly put my hand over an area that wasn't quite dry, and I ended up putting a few spots on the page that I didn't want. I tried to clean them off, but unfortunately they were red, and so they weren't going anywhere. The paper was already stained. And so I decided to take that card in a slightly different direction. I'm not a big one for throwing things out once I've put that much work in. So what I did was I covered up the image and spattered the whole image with some blue and green and a little bit of red. You can see me on screen just adding a last touch of blue spatter to look like this garden is having some April showers perhaps. Because of that, the sentiment that I chose to go with it says, "Showering you with love," and it comes from a stamp set called Hey Chickie. The other sentiment comes from the Spring Snow Globes Scenes stamp, and it says "Just for you." I really like "Just for you" as a sentiment because it makes the card so versatile. I've cut each of my panels out using Pink and Maine's Slimline stitched rectangles die, the second largest, and then I've made my own cards by scoring a sheet of US sized paper at 3.5 inches, folding it over and then cutting it to size. I've done the card construction off camera. I have, after all, already made you watch paint dry. I'll leave you with some close-up photos of the details of the cards. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you'll stick around for more. It's been so exciting to welcome so many new people into our little community here, and I look forward to sharing another card with you soon. Bye for now.